Hello, it's the Degenerate. I'm here with Steak, and we are previewing and getting familiar with the NFL draft because it's April 8th. The NFL draft is in 2.5 weeks, I
Yeah,
believe. Does that sound right?
yeah.
So we've got enough time, but it's going to be approaching right before we know it. And the NFL draft is near and dear to our hearts. If you're not already familiar with the Degenerate and you're new to following us, we gamble on it, and we gamble on it heavily. It's my favorite event to bet on. I've made a few of the largest wagers of my life on the NFL draft. Shout out Kyle Pitts and shout out under 3.5 QBs drafted in the Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis draft. And then Steak goes to the draft. Like what seems like every fucking year. Steak, you've been 8 times now as we were adding it up. What cities do you think you've been to? Let's do the math right now.
Dallas, Philadelphia, Nashville, Cleveland, Kansas City, Vegas, Detroit, and I might be missing one. There's a chance I am, or this is my 8th one in a row.
And I'm not even going to ask you because you've told me Cleveland has been your favorite city to go to the NFL draft.
Ooh, Detroit might have taken the top spot after last year. Detroit was so fun, so fun.
I actually went to Detroit. That was the first time I went. My one of my dream sporting events that I always wanted to go to was Radio City when they did the draft there in the old format, Saturday and Sunday. When I was a kid and the draft was on Saturday and Sunday, I would have my notebook. I would do tons of mock drafts and just sit on the couch all day and watch all the way to the 7th round. I don't love the new format, but I did meet up with you in Detroit last year, and it was pretty fucking awesome. Detroit, by the way, that city was slammed. I think you said it was the busiest draft you had ever attended.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy because I would have thought Nashville would have been up there. Obviously, Vegas is a popular spot, but maybe the pricing would have kept people out. But anyways, what we're going to do is get familiar with the teams, the draft order, some of the needs, and a few of the mock drafts. So we're not going to really go too in depth. We'll save that for maybe the week of the draft with our actual mock draft and our favorite bets. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter, thedegenerateweekly.com. We send it out for free. And if you're watching on YouTube, which actually you're going to be watching on YouTube because that's where we're publishing this, make sure you follow the page and like the video. We really appreciate that. So today we're going to start with the AFC and the NFC North. We're going to do 2 divisions each show. We'll do one from the AFC, one from the NFC. So we're going with the Norths. And Steak, you're a Vikings fan, so let's start with the NFC North. And we've got the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, and the Vikings. So let's go ahead and start with the teams that have the lower draft pick, I guess the more relevant and exciting one. And that would be the Chicago Bears. So just to kind of set the stage a little bit, the Bears are picking 10th. They are after the New Orleans Saints and before the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to be referencing the odds on Bet Online. And it looks like the Chicago Bears odds for the first position drafted are running back plus 160, defensive lineman / edge plus 250, offensive lineman plus 425, linebacker 6-1, and so on and so forth. Running back is kind of interesting. So the Bears have DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson. I'm looking at their depth chart right now, and then I didn't know this, but they have Travis Homer, who was on the Seahawks. I don't know that I really envisioned them taking a running back. And I guess you would think, what would they want to do with a franchise quarterback? And that'd probably be bolster the offensive line. But they kind of did that in the offseason. They signed 3 offensive linemen: Joe Thuney from the Chiefs, Drew Dahlman from the center from the Falcons, and Jonah Jackson, the tackle from the Rams. So I don't know that I like linemen. Running back seems weird.
We're saying running back, but what we really mean is Ashton Jeanty.
Okay. That's a very good point. You're right. Because if you look in the top 10, or I guess anywhere near that area for running back, Jeanty is the guy. And I'm looking at Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft right now. He's got him going 6 to the Raiders. We're not talking about that division, so we'll save that for another time.
We'll save it, but in my opinion, that's a much better fit.
Okay. So let's assume then that Jeanty's going to be gone. And running back would not be something we consider at plus 160. Now, keep in mind, if you bet this also means the Bears could draft up. It's just their first drafted player position. Yeah. I don't think they're going to do that.
I have like a pipe dream if I was a Bears fan. You want to hear about it?
Well, you're a big Bears better, and now they've got Ben Johnson. So I'm okay with it. I want to go back to the Bears this year. Obviously, I don't care how many people are doing it, but yeah, I want to hear your pipe train. Lay it on me.
Trade up for Abdul Carter.
No shot.
Yeah, I understand that it's unlikely. I wouldn't say no shot, but I don't think it's the craziest thing ever to think that they might try to attempt to trade up for Abdul Carter, make a fucking huge splash on the defensive side of the ball when you just signed an offensive genius and you did all that to bolster your offensive line. Because you're right. I think if we did this stream before the free agent signings, I'd be screaming offensive line. I'd say you're insane if you do anything besides offensive line if you're the Chicago Bears, because you were the worst offensive line in the NFL last year. But with what they've done, you could argue they could maybe address that need in the second or third round. But I want to be clear, the Bears still need more offensive line help.
I'm okay with that. Abdul Carter, I'm looking at another mock draft right now. Someone's got him going 4th to the Patriots. They have Mason Graham being the first defensive lineman taken at 3 to the Giants. And then another one's got him going 2nd to the Browns, which we will talk about in the AFC North. Yeah. Here's my only question, though. The Bears made a huge splash when they traded up to get Caleb Williams. Do they have the assets for that?
I don't know what it would take. I'm sure they could find the assets because what do they have right now? The 10th pick? And they do
have the 10th pick.
Like, for example, let's say he falls to the 4 or the 5. And I do think they would have the assets, yes. I understand. It's definitely a pipe dream. But in all reality, my pick for this would be Shamar Stewart. That's who I would pick for the Bears if they stay at 10.
I don't even know who that is right now. Who is Shamar
The
Stewart?
Defensive lineman from Texas A&M.
Oh, okay. So that is who the Athletic has him going. Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M, the number 2 edge in the class, especially if we're lumping in Jahad Campbell or Jalen Walker. Certainly could be made for Georgia's Mikael Williams. Stewart is 6'5", 267, bigger than Williams, nearly as long. He's the most athletic edge not named Abdul Carter. Okay, so Steak, I'm going to make a note of this because this is the whole reason, the point of this, and the purpose is to have some takeaways for in the betting market. Edge defensive end for the Bears plus 250. I actually really like that too. I'm just not there with the offensive linemen, and I don't think that they're gonna get Genty. So okay, I like that. All right, good start.
Wait, let me just say before we move on, because you mentioned Mason Graham going over Abdul Carter. I think that's the equivalent of taking Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson. Personally, I think if you take Mason Graham over Abdul Carter, you're fucking insane.
I would agree with you. I think that's someone just trying to get really cute. Where did I see that? Hold on. Oh, that's on the Athletics. Giants have spent their entire offseason. Okay, interesting. All right, next one on the board is the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers have the 23rd pick. I don't really think it's a secret. I don't even have the odds board up yet, but they've got to go defense here, right? They're loaded. Obviously, they have Jordan Love. They got Josh Jacobs. They're loaded with young wide receivers. We all know that. Their offensive line, I think, is okay, but their defense certainly could use some help. So I've got the odds up right now. Defensive lineman edge plus 120, cornerback plus 170, then offensive lineman 4-1. I think this is something that is you definitely narrow it down to defensive lineman edge at plus 120 or cornerback at plus 170. Did they get rid of Jair Alexander or is he still there?
I don't know where he is. He's a big question mark. I don't think he's going to play for the Packers, but I don't know exactly what's going on with him. I mean, you nailed it. You pretty much took exactly what I was going to say. I think they have to go cornerback.
So I'm looking at both mocks that I have up right here, and I'm referencing the one at the Athletic, the one Daniel Jeremiah's for NFL.com. They have them going cornerback. Maxwell Hairston, he's a junior from Kentucky, and it says it's not clear if Alexander has a future in Green Bay. And then the the one for the Athletic says Jahdae Barron.
That's who I would pick.
Jahdae Barron, cornerback from Texas. Tough, smart, dependable competitor. He reminds me of a bigger version of Mike Sandstrill from Washington. He can play anywhere in the defensive backfield. You're going to get everything he has on every snap. He'd be perfect for the physical and talented NFC North. I am more than okay with this, but before we lock, no, I'm not going to say lock that in because we're not locking any bets right now, but we are making notes. I do want to look at their depth chart real quick because I'm not overly familiar with the defensive line. So they've got Rashawn Gary. That's their dude.
Luka Van Ness.
Wait. Where is Van Ness?
Is he not on there? It's weird.
Didn't they just draft him?
Yeah, he's not
Oh,
on
I'm
there.
looking at offense. I'm an idiot.
It's like,
Yeah, sorry. Van Ness, yes. Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, I think is a decent defensive tackle. Kingsley Anagbare. So linebacker Quay Walker, obviously he's good. Jair Alexander, Xavier McKinney, they signed last year from the Giants. They got Nate Hobbs. So they did sign Nate Hobbs. Outside of that, I don't know who Keyshawn Nixon is, Evan Williams. Nobody in that secondary is really making a move. So, but at the same time, I could see them going defensive line if like a couple guys. No,
I kind of feel like defensive line might be the best part of the defense. Van Ness, Gary, Wyatt, and who is the fourth one? Yeah, I feel like that's a decent defensive line, honestly.
Yeah, you're right. There's no need to overthink this. DB plus 120. Okay. Let's go to your Minnesota Vikings. So the Vikings are picking right after Green Bay. They are picking 24th. Again, obviously just using my brain here from watching the NFL, and I know you're a fan, so I'm assuming you're going to co-sign this. You don't really need much offense. Your offense is loaded. They're going to commit to JJ McCarthy, I believe. Not that they would draft a quarterback to begin with, but you got receivers. Your offensive line was pretty solid. I'm going to pull up the odds market right now on Bet Online. So Minnesota's, actually, offensive lineman is the second favorite here. Cornerback is plus 150. Offensive lineman 3-1. Safety 3-1. D-line edge 4-1.
So offensive line, we lost Brian O'Neill, but we got Will Fries or however you say it, from Indianapolis. And then our left tackle, obviously, who's awesome, Christian Darrisaw, got hurt last season. I'm sure he'll be back this season, but coming off an injury is coming off an injury. And I don't think you can ever have too much offensive line when you're putting a guy like JJ McCarthy in there, which it looks like we are. For me, I think it's almost exactly the same as the Packers. I think the Packers and Vikings are going to be fucking watching each other like hawks, because I think the Vikings want a cornerback or a safety. It seems like the Vikings like the safety from Minnesota, Emonwari or whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about him. I get more excited about the guy from Georgia, Malachi Starks. But then again, we drafted a safety from Georgia with the 32nd pick or something. I don't know if you remember this. What was this dude's name? Fuck. Something crazy happened, Sky. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Not Byron Murphy, right?
No. Byron Murphy's really good.
And Byron Murphy is playing?
Yeah, he's a starter for the Vikings.
Yep, Byron Murphy is the nickelback. Harrison Smith, Josh Metellus, and Mekhi Blackman.
Well, yeah, Harrison Smith is who you mentioned. He re-signed with us. He's obviously getting old. They'll need a replacement. So I kind of have Vikings going DB here.
Okay. DB's plus 150. The mock drafts have NFL.com has them taking Nick Emonwari, South Carolina safety.
Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. Why did I think he was from Minnesota? That's the guy I was talking about. I'm just stupid and said he was.
Okay. Harrison Smith entering year 14. Wow, what an incredible career he's had. And then the Athletic has Minnesota taking Gray Zabel, who's a guard/center from North Dakota State. Says he was a true 5'2" offensive line. He's not long enough to be an everyday tackle. His ability to make things happen inside is undeniable. Interesting. Nothing about the Vikings, just about the player. So, okay, I'm kind of with you. I could see both teams here going defensive back, plus 150 for the Vikings instead of that plus 120 for the Packers. I guess I would be a little bit more concerned about the offensive lineman threat at 3-1, or no, safety. Safety does not play in a cornerback. So that's getting a little too tricky. I'm going to leave because this guy from South Carolina is a safety. I'm going to stay away from the Vikings.
Yeah.
I don't know that I really like anything. All right, let's go to the Lions. The Lions are picking in the 28th slot after the Ravens, before the Washington Commanders. NFL.com has them taking an edge, Mikael Williams from Georgia. That would be a nice snag. And let's see, the other mock has them taking Kelvin Banks Jr., who's a tackle from Texas. But they do acknowledge in this write-up in The Athletic that the Lions' biggest need is edge. And it wouldn't shock me if Brad Holmes tried to get younger at receiver. Interesting. Pull up
I could see that, but I'd be surprised in the first round unless somehow Emeka Egbuka is at pick 28. Then I think they'd have to take him.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the wide receivers right now. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tim Patrick, Jamison Williams. Yeah. Khalif
They could use
Raymond.
one more.
Yeah, they certainly could use one more. The offensive line is stacked. They don't need running back. Can you close Discord, by the way, on your computer?
It's crazy, dude. I got Do Not Disturb on and everything. I do not know what's going on.
That is interesting. I don't know. Is it me, maybe? Oh, you know what?
I don't have Discord on my home screen anymore.
Okay, hold on. Could have been me.
We're not getting Discord messages.
Interesting. I don't get that. Maybe it's something else. Yeah, all right, we'll keep moving. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's me.
I don't know.
I just closed it. My bad. I'm looking at the defense here. I mean, there's no secret that the Lions defense was absolutely fucking a big problem for them last year. So edge rusher, or again, that other mock has them taking a tackle. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's pull up the odds market for Detroit. Detroit is defensive. Oh, see, I mean, this makes so much sense. Defensive lineman / edge minus 180.
Yeah, but I don't think it's Mykel Williams. I think if they get Mykel Williams at pick 28, that's close to being the steal of the draft.
Yeah, I would agree.
I don't think he'll be there. So I don't know. I don't know what defensive lineman they get, honestly. Who did you say they had in your mock?
They had
mine has Nick Scorton from Texas A&M.
What is he?
An edge, the 6th ranked edge in the draft. That sounds more like reality. And the Mykel Williams shit sounds like a dream to me. I think he'll be gone maybe by pick 20.
Offensive lineman is plus 190 for the Lions. That's very interesting. Cornerback is 8-1. Guess they're not going to go address anything there. Let's see. They did sign DJ Reed from the Jets. So they've got Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, DJ Reed, and then I don't know who the other guy is. Arnick Robertson. Does that sound like anything? They also signed Avonte Maddox from Philly as well. So they're fine there. Yeah, they got to go. I think they got to go edge.
Yeah. Also, I will say, because you mentioned him, the guy from North Dakota, Gray Zabel, he seems like a Dan Campbell guy to me more than a Kevin O'Connell guy, if I'm being honest.
I totally agree. All right. I don't know. I don't know that I want to lay minus 180. I guess I'm just nervous in case a lot of the edge guys are snagged up. Then maybe they could turn to an offensive lineman if it's plus 180, plus 190. It's kind of a lot of respect on the odds market. All right. Quick recap for the NFC North. So we really like the Bears to go. Is that defensive lineman? I can't tell if I wrote a D or an L. Defensive lineman / edge plus 250. Vikings cornerback plus 150. Packers cornerback plus 120. Lions edge minus 180. So we'll dig a little bit more for players and whatnot as we move forward. Damn,
also want to say Jack Sawyer in the 2nd round, the kid from Ohio State, that'd be a fucking sick fit for the Lions.
I couldn't agree more. He's a dog. All right, let's go to the AFC North. So we've got the Steelers, the Browns, the Packers, and the Bengals. Again, we'll start with the lower pick. So the Cleveland Browns are picking 2nd. And the Cleveland Browns, God, what do they need? I don't even know. Because the whole talk about the Cleveland Browns going into every year is like, wow, their roster is so good. And they traded, mortgaged everything for Deshaun Watson because they got to win now. Looking at NFL.com, they've got Cam Ward going number 1, Abdul Carter going number 2. They did re-sign Myles Garrett, who there were some rumors that he might leave. He did not. And The Athletic has Cleveland taking Travis Hunter. Kind of interesting. So let's see what the odds market has here for Cleveland. Cleveland is defensive line / oh, nope. Oh, wow, this is interesting. Cleveland is not on the board.
That's weird.
Cleveland's not on the board, but hold on. I can go to number 2 overall pick. Okay. Travis Hunter's minus 260.
That's because maybe they trade out of here. I think Travis Hunter is a mistake at 2 for the Browns.
I do too. And I don't think he's Cleveland built. Abdul Carter is plus 165. And then Shedeur Sanders is 10-1.
I'm going to go ahead and say I'll be betting plus 165 on Abdul Carter. That's how much of an Abdul Carter fan I am.
Oh, I think he's fucking awesome. We saw him up close and personal at the Orange Bowl. And I wanted to make a note. When I watched Georgia play Notre Dame, I was like, wow, this is not your typical Georgia team. Nobody really stood out to me on offense or defense except that Mykel Williams guy. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. It could be Mykel. Abdul Carter plus 165 to the Browns. All right, that makes that pretty easy. Bengals are picking 17th. The Cincinnati Bengals. They signed Jamar. They
Oh,
signed.
wait. I'm sorry. I had some Browns thoughts before we move on. Is that cool? I'll make it
Of
snap.
course. That's what we're doing this for.
Jackson Dart is there at pick 33. Would you take him if you were the Browns? First pick of the second round. I'm not saying it's likely because I understand he'll probably be gone, but we've seen quarterbacks fall in the past. And I'm just curious, if you were the Browns, would you take Jackson Dart at pick 33? And then I have one more really good fit because I think the Browns have 2 second-round picks.
Jackson Dart draft position over 24.5 plus 160, under minus 210.
So not that crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy because they're saying he's not going to go past 24.
No, I'm saying it's not that crazy. It's probably like what? That's probably like plus 400. It's not like unheard of, is what I'm saying.
To fall
to 33,
10 more spots, 9 more spots.
Yeah, what do you think that is? 500 plus 500?
Yeah, maybe 5 to 1.
Okay, and then my other fit was
not
Isaiah Bond.
Oh, I love that. Although, I heard Isaiah Bond kind of getting some slander.
Well, I have him going in the second round, so he did definitely get some slander because there was a point where he was considered to be a first rounder for sure. But yeah, Matthew Golden's the guy from Texas that everybody wants in the first round.
So I think he ran a slow 40, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay. I don't hate it. Dude, what if the Browns draft Travis Hunter too, and then Shedeur Sanders? No, Shedor's going to go.
No, that has 0%.
Yeah, that has 0 chance of happening. Okay. Yeah, Cleveland's not on there. Let's go to Cincinnati. Cincinnati at 17. They are minus 150 for defensive lineman and edge. Wow, a lot of teams. It's kind of funny. Everybody wants to follow the Philadelphia Eagles blueprint here and just load up on the defensive line. Minus 150. Cornerback is plus 325. So the Bengals are heavily skewed towards defensive line. Could this be what did they end up doing with Trey Hendrickson? Did he resign?
I don't really know. I think that's still in limbo.
So one mock on NFL.com has Mike Green, an edge from Marshall, going. Not familiar with this guy. Can't pretend that I am. And then the Athletic has Mike Green going as well. Like Carter, Campbell, and Walker, Green is a phenomenal athlete who gives off Parsons-like vibes in terms of versatility. There are also serious off-field questions here. Teams will have to investigate before making decisions. And NFL says he would be a great complement to Trey Hendrickson if the Bengals are able to work things out.
I think Mike Green would be a win for the Bengals. I think Jalen Walker would be a win for the Bengals as well. I sort of think my money would be on offensive line.
I agree.
And what is that at? What's the odds on that?
3 to 1.
Yeah, I think I like that.
Cornerbacks plus 350. Dude, I thought it was going to be, I thought offensive line was going to be minus 150. Isn't that what the Bengals really needed most?
Well, the defense is obviously one of the worst defenses in football, so it's clear they need defense too, but you got to protect Burrow.
That's true. I guess protecting Burrow, he's certainly, didn't he get injured again late last year? Or no, he played. I guess he played.
Sure. He might have got banged up.
I don't know what his sack stats were, but yeah, they didn't make any signings. I'm looking at their offensive line right now. Orlando Brown. I don't know who any of these guys are. Cody Ford. Okay. Can move on from there. I like OL 3 to 1 on the Bengals. Too. OL plus 300. All right. Okay. 2 more and we can wrap it up. Finish under 30 minutes. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted from this. Steelers are picking 21st, right behind the Broncos, right ahead of the Chargers. And on the mocks here, NFL.com has Jackson Dart being selected 21st overall. Steelers plan at quarterback is not completely clear at the moment. Even if they were to land Aaron Rodgers, they would still need a long-term option. Yep. And then let's see. The Athletic has Shedeur Sanders going.
That shit is not happening.
You don't think so?
What are the odds for position?
I'm about to tell you.
Or do you want me to tell you my position first, and then we'll see how spot on I am?
Tell me your position first.
Defensive line.
Yep. Defensive line is plus 220.
And that's the best. What's wide receiver? I just have this crazy theory.
So quarterback is 3 to 1. Cornerback is 4 to 1. Offensive lineman's 5 to 1. Running back 7 to 1. Wide receiver 10 to 1.
Okay, yeah, never mind. That's not happening.
Because they've Pickens DK. And they have DK, so I think they're fine now.
Yeah.
They don't need a running back.
Well, they do. Najee's on the Chargers.
Right. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, they need a running back, but they aren't going one here unless Genty falls and he won't.
Oh, yeah. They'll get somebody late.
Yeah.
You're right. They'll get somebody late. Okay. So we like defensive lineman plus 220.
Yep. And then I got a crazy one for you. They have no second round picks. And in the third round, I have them taking Will Howard.
Oh,
I think Will Howard is absolutely a Pittsburgh guy.
I could see that.
Me too.
I could see that. Okay, I don't hate it. Let's keep that in mind whenever we get day 2 or day 3 odds up. I love that. All right. So we did the Bengals, the Steelers, the Browns, and last one on the board is the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are picking 27th, right behind the Rams, right ahead of the Detroit Lions. Looks like the mocks have the Ravens taking a defensive tackle here. Wow. Derek
Can I guess the position that I think? Wait, on your odds, are safeties and cornerbacks all together? Is it like that, or is it defensive back?
Cornerback and safety are different.
Okay, I have safety. What are those odds?
Baltimore safety is plus 525. It's the 4th position in the odds market.
That'll be my long shot.
Defensive line and edge is plus 115. Offensive line is plus 330. Cornerback is plus 375. The mocks have them taking an edge in both. Derek Harmon in one, and then someone from Boston College.
Yeah. I don't think Derek Harmon falls to the Ravens.
Okay. So you would go long shot here at safety, and what's your reasoning for that?
I just think pairing him up with Kyle Hamilton makes perfect sense. They need secondary help, obviously. I have no idea who the safety is right now next to Kyle Hamilton, and I think a guy like Malachi Starks for Georgia will be hard to pass up. At what pick is this? 29 or 28?
27.
It'll be tough to pass up Malachi Starks. He's a fucking dog.
Okay. All right. AFC North recap. We've got the Browns, Abdul plus 165. I like that. I mean, he kind of just seems like a Browns guy too from Penn State. Come on. Bengals, offensive line 3-1. Love that. I put half a unit on that. Steelers, D-line plus 220, and you like Will Howard maybe for a late day pick. That'd be fun. I already said that. And then the Ravens safety for a long shot plus 525. I would say the bet I like the most on here are the Bears to go defensive line plus 250.
Yeah, I love that.
Love that. All right, Steak. NFL Draft Talk, episode 1. Knocked out 2 divisions. We'll do another one later in the week. Thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel when you're here, and we'll see you next time. Peace.